and welcome to the Monday edition of the Morning Buzz. It is November 2nd, 2020. I am your host today, Amanda Marino. Yes, you usually see me behind the other seat, but I am here hosting today with, of course, my co-host today,
Ryan Trick.
Okay, I was going to introduce you, but I guess not.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Amanda.
Ryan Trick, my co-host for the day. And of course, in our virtual studio of Zoom, we got
Jake Getz. Hello.
Hello. Always good to have you, Jacob. And of course, we also have our sportscaster,
Ryan White. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. So excited for today's show. We got a lot of great stuff for today. And of course, it's November now, not October anymore. So we are no longer in spooky season, Ryan.
I know, I'm sad, but happy new month, everybody. November.
Have you guys ever heard someone say happy new month? I've never heard anybody say that.
I say happy new month every month.
Normally I hear people say like the month, like happy November.
Yeah, no.
That sounds a bit more natural.
Yeah.
I go with happy new month because it's going to be a good month, you know. It's no longer spooky season. It's turkey season, Amanda. It's the season of the turkeys. Gobble, gobble.
Okay. Of course, if you are just tuning in, though, this is 90.3 WMSC, Upper Montclair, New Jersey. So if you didn't know that, now you do. Welcome.
Yeah.
Welcome. Maybe we have some first-time listeners today. Maybe we don't.
I sure hope we do.
That would be great, right?
How are you doing, listeners? Are you doing good? You can't talk
Ryan,
back.
I was going to say, do you expect them to actually, answer you or something?
Well, you know, Amanda, that's a great question. They can answer us if they want to check us out on Twitter at WMSC using the hashtag WMSC
that would
Buzz.
be tweeting. I think you want them to just angry tweet you.
Well, yeah, or if you want to angry tweet
here's
me.
the thing. We also are, if you are interested in if you like what you hear, we're also streaming on Facebook Live right now on our Facebook page, WMSC. And also we will have the show up on YouTube. So if you see any, graphics or anything that you want to see, any visuals that we will be showing today, that's always great too. But before we kick into the show, Jacob, hit us to that newscast.
Okay. The New York Times reported that a large caravan of cars displaying flags in support of President Donald Trump blocked traffic on the Garden State Parkway yesterday. It seems that this was one of several disruptive demonstrations the supporters of the president recently held in multiple states, including another traffic blocking on the Mario and Cuomo Bridge in New York that took place yesterday, and an incident on Saturday in Texas where a bus for the Biden-Harris campaign was surrounded and slowed on a highway by trucks displaying Trump flags. That last instance in Texas resulted in 2 Biden-Harris campaign rallies being canceled, and the FBI has announced that they're investigating the incident. More on this story in a minute. For local news, Montclair public schools have delayed the return to in-person classes after a case of COVID-19 was confirmed at Watchung Elementary School. The district released a statement on their website from the superintendent of schools making the announcement and giving logistical information for students and parents. The good news is things are crazy, but we still have coffee. For weather, it's a little chillier today with lows around 37 degrees and highs around 41 degrees. Look out for wind speeds as high as 15 miles per hour and an early sunset around 4:50 tonight.
Thank you, Jacob, for the wonderful newscast. And, I got to say something about the weather. You know what's weird about the weather today? Is I got my Starbucks this morning because I go to Starbucks. I've said it before. My barista knows me, and I don't know if I should be proud or embarrassed.
It's adorable.
I went to Starbucks this morning, and as I was walking out with my tea and little bagel bites, I looked up, and it was like flurrying, like snow.
What?
And I don't know how to feel about it.
Yeah.
I had little snow flurries flurrying around my car this morning in the Starbucks parking lot.
One of my friends who goes to a school, I forget which school it is exactly, but it's somewhere in Jersey, had like 4 inches of snow.
That's crazy to me.
I freaked out when I saw it.
I would be livid if it were October. Spooky season.
I was
not
gonna say, didn't
snow.
we have that snowstorm though, on Halloween, around Sandy or the year before Sandy or something?
Yeah.
Around
there,
and that was disgusting to see snow in
October. No, I didn't like that at all.
But anyways, thank you, Jacob, for that lovely newscast as always. But we're gonna obviously throw it over to our 2-minute warning with Ryan. Kick it off for us.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you, Ryan and Amanda, for having me on this Monday morning. Every Monday, I try to cover as many sports stories as possible within the last week in such a short amount of time, so let me get right into it. In Major League Baseball, the Los Angeles Dodgers won the World Series in 6 games over the Tampa Bay Rays last Tuesday night. The Dodgers finally got over that hump after adding star outfielder Mookie Betts to an already tremendous Dodgers lineup. Clayton Kershaw got his well-deserved ring and added another achievement to his amazing career. Saturday night in boxing, Gervonta Tank Davis defeated Leo Santa Cruz by knockout in the 6th round with a brutal uppercut. The lightweight division is filled with young and talented fighters such as Gervonta Davis, Ryan Garcia, Devin Haney, and undisputed champ Teofimo Lopez, and it's about to get very exciting. Switching gears to the NFL, last night on Sunday Night Football, the Philadelphia Eagles won by a score of 23-9 against the Dallas Cowboys. This game was full of mistakes, and whoever ends up winning this division is going to have a losing record. The New York Jets lose once again in a blowout against the defending Super Bowl champions and are now 0-8. Some may say this Jets team is possibly the worst of all time. Other games from Sunday, the Steelers beat the Ravens and remain the only undefeated team at 7-0. Bill Belichick and the Patriots finally lost to the Bills. Russell Wilson returned back to form by tossing 4 touchdowns against arch rival the San Francisco 49ers. And lastly, looking ahead to tonight, the New York Giants have a tough game on Monday Night Football facing the red-hot Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That is all for now. Back to you guys.
Awesome stuff as usual. Thank you, Ryan.
Thank you, Ryan. If it were not for you, I would know absolutely nothing about sports, and now I just know mostly nothing. And I appreciate it because literally I can't keep up with sports with all the things going on in the world, so I rely on you awesome sportscaster guys. Very happy to have you on the buzz. I feel informed. I feel like if somebody said, hey, do you know what a football is? I could confidently now say yes. The Buccaneers are a football team.
The Buccaneers are good.
There we go. I used to go to Bucs games. My dad and I once scalped special, not box tickets.
I've never been to a football
like
game. I don't know what
tickets.
football. Besides like a high school football game, I don't know
Me
what football
neither.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what football is. I would always play with I was in the band. And I was the nerd.
Yo, same.
Yeah, and so
Yeah.
I remember being at the games and I'm like, what's going on? What's a touchdown? Someone.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
What?
They
So it's always good to be informed actually on the proper what is actually happening in a football game.
Yeah.
from
It's
our
like
lovely sportscasters.
soccer but with hands and no net. Is that accurate, Ryan? Is that close?
Yeah, I'd say it's a decent comparison.
Yeah. Okay. Close enough. Well, once again, Ryan, thank you very much for your informative sportscast. It's great to have you on.
Thank you.
Of course. Thank you.
So we're gonna get into it today. Not too into it, but we got a fun oh boy.
And we got a lot of spooky news for it not being October.
Yeah,
Yep.
spooky season is not
Spooky
quite.
Spooky season ends, but the spookiness stays.
Yeah, exactly. But also before we even get into that, we want to thank everybody we want to thank anyone who donated to the WMSC fund. It officially ended on Saturday. So if you did donate you did check that out when we've been talking about it on any of the Buzz shows, we really appreciate the donation or even appreciate the share. It really means a lot for us here at WMSC.
We crushed
Like
our
3
goals.
which
We
is
crushed
awesome.
3 goals, and our third goal too. And this was like the most important one to a lot of us. Was the third goal actually extended the scholarship to another person.
Yeah.
And yeah, we killed it. Our initial kind of like goal, originally we were just trying to raise $1,500. We ended up raising $2,500. So seriously, thank you to all our listeners out there.
For sure.
Everybody who cares about the station seriously means a lot to us here.
Really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Also, if you didn't know, there's an election tomorrow.
What?
Wait, really?
Yeah.
How can I vote?
Well, you
Well, you
see, what
see-
I
Am I supposed
did,
to do that?
yeah, what I did, Jacob, is I got this piece of paper in the mail. So I filled in
really?
all of the dots because I like coloring. Then I folded it
Yeah.
up and I threw it to the White House
Oh,
like a
like
paper
a
airplane.
paper airplane? That's
Yeah.
perfect.
yeah,
So
because that's what Ryan
hopefully,
thinks is
hopefully they
needed.
get. Is that not how you're supposed to do it?
No,
Yeah.
we went over this, Ryan.
It's not.
Anyway,
Ugh. I gotta
yes,
contact
tomorrow
my
is
post guy.
election day, November 3rd, if you didn't
Indeed.
know. It's the presidential election. Again, if you didn't know. I think
Which
most people
hopefully
know
you
now.
know by now.
But if you are not glued to your TV and you're interested in content from this station, we are doing a special election day coverage tomorrow.
Oh yeah.
There'll be even a special hour of Morning Buzz coverage, actually, from some of the best bits of the Morning Buzz.
Yeah,
I'm
like
pretty sure I'll
a
be here. And
political highlight reel, if you will.
I know
Mhm.
Ryan's doing a special Rock the Vote show.
I'm gonna plug my show. I'm doing Rock the Vote with Ryan Trick. It's what time is it? It's 6 p.m.
He doesn't even know the
Yeah,
time of
no,
his own show.
I'm on 6 to 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time,
But we're
and
also
I'm gonna be playing. Hold on, Amanda.
okay.
I'm gonna be playing political rock. I'm gonna be playing some political punk rock. I might
Yeah.
ironically play Anti-Flag, despite
Yeah.
Annabella's size and eye rolling. Love you, Annabella.
But anyway, the whole night is going to be full of coverage from the news team that they put together. Lewis, he's a real trooper. If you've ever
Lewis
listened to the
behind
the
if you
wall.
ever listened to the Wednesday
My
show,
man knows his
Lewis
stuff.
put together an amazing night along with Peter, the two news team people. They put it together an incredible night of election coverage here at WMSC. So if you're not glued to your TV and you want to listen to some audio from an incredible radio station, if I don't say so myself.
Yeah,
Well, I'm a little
yeah.
biased. But there will be coverage tomorrow here at WMSC.
Yeah, we're gonna be doing a lot of stuff. Not on the Morning Buzz, but you can expect some really good recap stuff for the rest of this week.
Yeah,
Wednesday, and as results come in Thursday, maybe Thursday and Friday, we'll be looking at it as we get results in.
also, if you haven't yet, voting is still a thing.
But
So
you should probably do it.
exercise
if you
that right
haven't.
that you have.
Exactly. A little PSA from us
While
here
it's
at the
still
station.
here.
Yeah, exactly. We do as much as, no matter your opinions or views on the
Yeah.
country, we do live in a democratic country, and a lot of places in the world don't have
The
the
ability
right
to
where the people can choose what happens with their government. So make sure you exercise that right.
Mhm.
And this is coming from someone who could, literally up until this year, could not have given less of a care about politics.
Mhm.
And I made sure I actually did my research on who I was voting for, stuff like that. And we'll be talking more about some voting stuff and the election stuff a little bit. We'll be dabbling. We'll be sprinkling in
we have
some
a lot of
political
that's
stuff
actually
today.
a segue into our first story. We have a lot of political stuff to talk about today. I feel like it's always from the weekend, there's always
Yeah.
something that happens over the weekend. And
Some crazy
The
people
aftermath.
doing crazy things.
yeah, so kind of to chime in from what Jake talked about in his newscast,
Oh boy.
Ryan, you want to hit us with this?
Do I? Do
Yeah,
I
go
have
for
to?
it. Yeah.
So apparently videos were posted to social media on Sunday showing a large group of supporters of Donald Trump slowing and inevitably stopping traffic in the northbound lanes of a portion of the Garden State Parkway in New Jersey. If you are not a New Jersey listener, welcome. We drink a lot of coffee and eat pizza and have high blood pressure, and there's a lot of traffic here.
Yeah,
So it doesn't help.
northbound too, of course,
Northbound
too, which is even
is
worse.
worse because that's going towards the city for
Yeah.
those
Oh, no.
for those who are not geographically inclined.
I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, so they literally stopped traffic on the Parkway. The video showed vehicles flying Trump flags, just completely stopping, occupants cheering, blowing horns. The videos came out after Friday. There was an incident in Texas that you mentioned, Jake, involving a caravan of Trump supporters who closely followed a Biden-Harris campaign bus, leading to a collision and the cancellation of several Democratic Party events. They actually tried to run the bus off the road. And Amanda, you actually called me about this story. You were like, did you just hear that some people tried to run like a campaign
all right,
bus
so
off the road?
I'm gonna
I didn't hear that part of
say
it.
I'm gonna say my 2 cents about this real fast, like to start this off. No matter what political, if you're a Trump supporter, you're a Biden supporter, either way, or if you're not any of these supporters and you don't like either candidate, whatever the case may be, it is completely wrong to run any opponent off the road or to block traffic. You want to have a rally? Cool, go have a rally. But I feel like to block traffic and block other people from getting things done, I know personally if I was driving to either school or driving to anywhere and where I had to be somewhere, I would have been so annoyed if traffic was stopped. And I think we have some video coming in from Ryan right now that he's sharing on the screen. Again, if you want to see the video, you could check us out on Facebook
or on YouTube,
or on
after
YouTube
the
later.
fact as well.
But yeah, as you
we
can see
here, it is a nightmare.
No, wow,
Drive
that's
it
just
and-
so this surreal to look at.
No, yeah, so you could see a bunch of cars and they have flags hanging out their windows, and I think I just saw a Trump bear.
Yeah, that was
Yeah,
that was a
that's
that
a little
was
different.
that was a Trump
But like
bear.
obviously, like again, like you know, I'm fine if like you want to do something, you know, in a parking lot, or if you want to do, because again, it's your exercise, your right to.
Yeah.
It's like your right to protest, your right to. You want to rally, cool, go
Yeah,
for it.
like there were
But,
rallies in my town.
But like don't block traffic.
Yeah,
That's like
especially on the
highway,
especially on the Parkway.
especially
So-
the Garden State Parkway.
yeah, like it's like if for anybody if they're not from New Jersey, it's basically think about like the biggest highway near you.
Yeah, there are like two big highways in Jersey. It's like the Parkway and the Turnpike. I can't imagine if they did this on the Turnpike. There would be like fires. Like people would have gotten like they would have gotten
No, yeah,
whacked.
and I feel like I said, like no matter where you stand, if this happened for a Biden rally too, I'd be upset
Oh yeah.
because if we're in the middle of the street and you have places to go, people to see, you got to go to work, you got to go to whatever. Like if I was driving, like I know sometimes I take, I've had to cover other shifts. I work at Whole Foods. I've said that before on this show. I've sometimes worked in other shifts in other stores where I have to take the Garden State Parkway. And if I was late because of that, I would have been so upset and annoyed because nobody would have been paying for my time late to work, you know?
Exactly.
So I don't know. That's my opinion at least on it. I feel like cool, you want to exercise this right, that's great. And that's maybe not what I would want to do. But if you want to do that, I feel like just doing it on the Parkway is just the worst possible place to do it. Because also at the same time, like I feel like this also causing so many distractions too. The Parkway is like a dangerous place. Like
oh yeah.
Like
I've said this before, you know, in New Jersey, we got some I'll say fun drivers in New Jersey.
It's never a dull moment with
exactly. It's never a dull moment, especially never a dull moment on the Parkway. And I cannot imagine. I mean, seeing, you know, you see on like your Google Maps or whatever, you're driving along and you're like, oh, there's an accident up ahead or whatever, or like a stoppage. You know, the little blue line goes from blue to yellow, like a slowdown, and then red, like a stop or an accident. If I pulled up on this thing and just saw a sea of flags and like pickup trucks and people shouting for Trump, I don't care who you align with. I'd be livid. Like, that would just be aggravating to deal with. It's, you know, like, I understand this election's important. And, you know, even we've been saying, like, look, the election's important. You know, go exercise your right to vote. And, you know, it's fine to have, I will specify, civilized discussions.
Oh, yeah, for
with
sure.
people, you know, because that's what you want to be able to do.
Mm-hmm.
But this is just ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
This is like, I don't even know how to describe this mess. If you are interested, you can find this article is on what is this? MSN?
Yeah.
Yeah. So MSN.
It was kind of trending on Twitter too. And
yeah.
Oh yeah,
trending
that's
on
where I
Twitter,
saw it too.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's interesting thing that definitely happened for sure.
Yeah, it did
Something.
indeed happen. For some reason.
I feel like this election specifically, there's just been so many wild things that, like, 10 years ago you'd be like, nah, that would never happen.
Oh man,
even like 4 years ago, I think. Even with Biden and Hillary, that election.
Not Biden, Hillary.
Not, you know what I mean? Trump and Hillary, sorry.
in a parallel
Ryan,
universe.
tomorrow
in a
is
better.
election day. Do you know who's running?
I know who's running. Hush you. Yeah, no. So even with like Trump and Hillary, we saw some crazy stuff, but nothing. I want to say we haven't seen stuff to like this extent.
I don't know for sure, and I think it's like it's a different pride, I guess, is a way, like a different like supporting. Like if you've even noticed, like a lot, you don't really see who really like is voting for Biden as much and stuff, like with like signs and things and flags. No one's like waving a Biden flag, you know what I mean? And now it's more in the last like month and a half, 2 months that people are actually starting to like, put lawn signs in their lawn and things like that for Biden. At least it's been around for Trump since like the beginning, but like seeing it more for him, which
people have been saying Trump 2020 since he got elected
in 2016.
That's not a dig, that's just an accurate observation.
They've been doing
literally
that. If you want to angry tweet me on that one, go ahead at Ryan the Trick. Still waiting for it. Surprised I haven't gotten anything.
I'm gonna angry tweet you one of these days.
Somebody did angry tweet me during one of our of our meetings or something.
As like a joke.
That was during the Halloween thing.
Right? Yeah, during our Halloween event here at WMSC.
Yeah, very well done by the office
brought up
team.
the joke. Yeah, very well done by the office team. That was just, they put on some solid events.
Jake, I'm giving you homework. You're gonna angry tweet Ryan.
Okay, I could do that.
Heck yeah. All the angry tweets I get are just going to be ironic angry tweets from people who know me at the station.
Yeah, I know. He's never going to get a true angry tweet. But I mean, do you really want an angry tweet? Then?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'd be so happy if I got an angry tweet.
Really?
Like, that would be amazing.
Shout out to that woman, if she's still listening, who like totally like tried to at me for wearing a mask on the buzz. Guess what? I'm still wearing a mask.
No, and it's like, and we're in a mask because we're in the space, in a tight space together, and that's why.
Yeah, exactly.
And also you have to wear a mask.
Amanda has cooties. Gross.
Wow, are you like in middle school or something?
But anyways,
we're in
I'm waiting for the angry
tight
tweet.
space. So we are wearing masks in studio. But...
And speaking of wearing masks and social distancing, I'm trying to segue into the other
Ryan's
story that we
really
have.
Bad segues again.
Yeah,
yes.
I am. Take
New
it
York.
away.
Or am I doing it or are you doing it?
Sure.
So, it was reported over the weekend. New York is the first state to travelers have to get tested within 3 days prior to landing in New York and quarantine for at least 3 days upon arrival and get a test on day 4 of arrival. So basically saying instead of quarantining for like a 14-day period, you will actually get tested within like a few days of being back. So you could, proceed with normal life again and you don't have to quarantine. Obviously, this doesn't count someplace like New Jersey, where a lot of people go into the city on a daily basis to go to work. This is more like if you're coming from California or you're coming from Arizona or some place that's not a neighboring state to New Jersey. To New York. If travelers receive a negative test on day 4 of quarantine, they may exit quarantine when they receive a negative result. States that are contagious with New York are continuous. Oh my God, continuous with New York continue to be exempt from quarantine protocol. Essential workers also continue to be exempt. And I know a lot of people have been a little mixed on this whole thing of being like exempt because you're like right next to it. But like, how are you gonna like stop somebody from New Jersey? They have to continue going to work and things like that. So they're of course exempt. Obviously, you could still have people that are coming in positive, but I guess it's less of a chance. And travelers who are out of the state for less than 24 hours do not need to quarantine, but must get a test on day 4 of arrival back in New York. And then all travelers covered by the advisory must continue to fill out traveler health form upon arrival into New York State. So, Jake, what do you think about this thing that New York's going to be the first state that starts like testing people like upon arrival coming into New York?
I mean, I guess it makes sense. I mean, I don't know, honestly. It's kind of I don't see why not. Like, especially like people from like states where it might be a bit higher. I know we're seeing a bit of a increase in cases, in positive cases. I think it was around the Midwest.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess that makes sense. And it does make sense to me that like they're not testing the New Jersey or like the
Well,
kind
yeah,
of
I mean, you
continuous
really
areas.
can't unless you're. I mean, a lot of workplaces are making you fill out like forms, like health forms, and some might have their own testing protocols. I know,
Yeah.
like if you're on like a production, like a film set or something, most people are getting tested every time they're coming into
Oh
the
yeah.
space. But I feel like this kind of makes sense if you're coming from a plane, especially from an area that might be really bad. Even though, I mean, this area is kind of getting bad again. The cases are rising and such. That's no secret. And I don't know. I think this is good. I feel like if especially we have the capability to start like testing like more consecutively, if that makes any
Mhm.
sense. Like at the start, we didn't have enough tests.
Oh
Now we've
yeah.
gotten to the point in this where like people are like making tests like
Yeah,
you know
no,
what I
we're
mean?
good at that.
Yeah.
Literally. And like I don't know. Like so now I feel like if we have this capability, like why not? You know?
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
especially because New York has some of the most popular
Oh
airports
yeah.
too. Like if
Oh,
And
you're
yeah.
it's just
coming
like New
in,
York, right?
And as bad as it is, like we could probably say like, New York, there's a reason why it was originally like the epicenter for the
and I
US.
don't really blame Cuomo for wanting to try to do because it was
Yeah,
the top state at one
because
time.
people like New York, just New York City and itself is known for like bringing people from all over the country
Yeah,
to
and
one spot.
especially what a lot of
Mhm.
people don't forget about it too is New York. You're on top of each other in a
Oh
Mhm.
common
yeah.
apartment.
Oh
And
man.
that's kind of
Yeah.
why it was a problem because you were so on top of each other, and that's why the cases were rising so like fast there originally. And now
Yeah.
when they kind of got
And
it
here
under
in New
control,
Jersey too,
yeah, New Jersey as
Yeah.
well.
And
But
we
like
live on
that's
top
why
of each
like
other
a lot
here.
of places in like the West and stuff, they were like in the middle of the country. They were more like
Oh yeah.
okay because they weren't on top of each other with their houses and stuff. But
Yeah.
now obviously because of that, people let loose a little more, and then cases
Yeah.
rose,
Mhm.
and
Like my friend Austin, who ironically does not live in Austin, he lives in Arkansas. I call him Bear. Hey Bear. But he lives in the middle of nowhere, Arkansas, literally, and he didn't like have cases really in his town for a while. And I was sitting here like, dude, my spring break just got like completely shut
Mm.
down. Schools are closing and the world's starting to look like it's on fire. And he's like, really? That's crazy. And I'm like, yeah, it is.
problem with like being New York, like New Jersey obviously is obviously another big populated state, but it's
Mm.
right next to New York. And like we said, a lot of people do traveling, so that's why the cases were rising there and here rapidly. But Ryan, what do you think about this I keep
New
saying
York.
New
Yeah.
Jersey, New York
Well,
testing?
it's kind of I like the idea of testing travelers like as they come in.
Mhm.
I think that's a really clever idea. I was actually listening to one of my favorite podcasts this morning called Off Topic, and they had one of the guys there. They're all based in Austin, but one of the guys is from Massachusetts in Boston. Um, so he like flew home to see his family, and he said when they got there, uh, Massachusetts or Boston, Massachusetts is actually like when you go in, they ask you like what your COVID plan is or whatever, and they text you every day to remind you of your quarantine. So they're
Wow.
like, you have 13, they send you a text like you have 13 days left in your
The
14-day
other thing though is
mandated
that with that
quarantine.
is are people actually following that is the
Yeah,
real question.
exactly.
Mm.
But it's like they have that, and then also if you have if you like get tested and you test negative, you basically like clear those messages and you're like taken out of the system as being required for quarantine. But it's literally in the system. This person is required to quarantine. So it's kind of interesting to look at what other states are doing too. But I mean, I think all in all, I like this idea. I really like the idea of testing people as soon as they get into airports like as soon as they land.
Mhm.
I think it's
Mm.
I
Yeah,
mean, granted,
I
I also think you should probably get tested before you get on
well,
the plane.
that's what they said. They said you have to test like 3 days before you come back or something.
Yeah, but
and
I
then
mean
you
like
come back.
immediately before you get on the plane.
No, but here's the thing: you could have caught something like right before, and it won't show up for 3 days. Do you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like that's the other
Mhm.
problem.
Yeah, that's
Like
fair.
it's not like when you get the virus, like within 2 seconds that you
Oh
have it.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It could take like a week,
Mhm.
and it might not even show up on your test. Like you could have it
Mm.
in your system, and it won't show up the first time, and then it could show up the second time. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think it's a start because I think we're seeing, obviously not really here, but we're seeing that wasn't really meant to be a stab. But I mean, if we look at other countries, we could kind of see where was it? I was telling you about it, Ryan, where there was a country where there was like no cases for 200 days.
Oh,
yeah.
wait, was that New Zealand?
No, that was New Zealand. The first was 100 cases, and then they got a case.
No country.
But there was someplace else. I don't remember where it was now, and it's going to drive me crazy.
But there are some other countries in Europe, that are doing extremely well. But then we're also starting to see cases. I don't know what's going on in Europe, but
Europe is going under their second lockdown.
Yeah, we're starting to see.
That's scary.
We haven't undergone a second lockdown yet.
No, we have not.
At
the time of this recording,
yeah.
11 November 2nd, 2020, we have not gone into a second lockdown.
November 2nd, 2020 at 8:32 a.m.
Yes, at 8:32.
Yeah.
For all I know, I could get a phone call in the next 2 hours.
Oh, because that's important to
Or
know.
an email.
Cases are still
Definitely.
rising, and to kind of chime in with that, like I know Governor Murphy has been talking about that everything's on the table. They could go into a second lockdown. We could shut down businesses again. And I know that is scary for a lot of people. And we don't want to undergo it because we know it was a long time the first time.
Definitely.
But again, it's not going to be in our control at all. We're going to see what happens. So, I mean, obviously your control could be, taking the proper safety precautions. And could be your control.
Exactly. Just friendly reminder.
PSA.
A little friendly reminder, friendly PSA. Wear a mask. Social distance. When I say wear a mask, wear it properly. It has to cover, and I will specify this because apparently people still don't know after so many months. It has to cover your nose and your mouth completely. It cannot be, and this is common misunderstanding, you can't wear like a bandana or a handkerchief because that is not considered like a certified mask that protects. And also, don't pull your mask down when you need to talk to somebody.
It happens more than you think.
It does.
Why?
Because no, I'm being
It's
serious.
so silly.
At Whole Foods, the amount of times that people will come up to me and start talking to me with their mask, like they're like, "Oh, here, I need to talk to you real quick. Let me pull my mask down." And I'm like,
You're like, what's the point?
Why? Do you need to see the nose and I don't know?
Yeah,
be sure they're
exactly.
being
and I feel
honest?
like a lot of people think they have like gills or something because they've.
Oh yeah, that's what I made a joke when I passed two people. I was going to get coffee with our general manager Annabella after the show one day, and we passed two people on campus that were wearing their masks like down on their neck, the classic chin neck masks. And I literally, very loudly and clearly as we walked past them, I said, Annabella, did you know that a new study came out? Apparently 50% of your breathing comes out of your neck, which is why people don't wear their masks right. And they just gave me the weirdest look and pulled their masks up. But anyway.
Yeah.
We're getting way off
it was
topic.
Taiwan who had the 200 days without domestic
I knew it was
COVID
someplace.
infection, according to ABC News and
Wicked.
others.
Good on you, Taiwan. Shout out to,
Yeah,
the country.
Guardian.
But anyway, we're going to take a short break and just to, get ready for the next few topics that we're going to be talking about. We're going to be talking about, what Americans want from a president
And other
election fun stories, spooky stories, interesting stories.
And then some weird bugs but clothing.
Alrighty then, that was a story that Ryan pulled.
Oh yeah, it's
today,
gonna
which
get
I'm
real
excited to
weird.
hear. But anyway, we're gonna take a short break and we'll be right back.
I love my roommate, but as soon as September comes around, he really starts to embrace the fall spirit. Hey Jared, it smells good in here. What you making?
Oh, well, I bought some pumpkin spice candles. Whew. And I've also been making some pumpkin pie.
Oh wow, a lot of pumpkin. It started with the candles. I was all for it at first. I mean, who doesn't like the smell of pumpkin spice, But he started doing more. Hey, Jared, have you seen... Wait, are you eating pumpkin spice mac and cheese?
Yeah, it's great.
Okay, whatever. I was just wondering if you've seen my shoes. I can't find them anywhere.
Oh, yeah, about that. Your shoes weren't really matching the fall vibe I'm going for, so I may have thrown out your shoes and replaced them with these.
These are pumpkins.
Yeah, but you could put them on your feet like shoes. I call them pump kicks.
I had seeds between my toes for weeks. Every day, something in the house gets pumpkinated. Yesterday, it was the microwave. Don't ask me how that still works. I'm terrified of what he'll change next. You turned our room into a pumpkin?
I did, yes. Isn't it wonderful? The fall vibes are immaculate right now.
I can't do this anymore. You're insane. I'm moving out and I'm finding another roommate who isn't crazy. Ugh. Can you help me find a door so I can get out of this pumpkin?
I'm sorry, Josh. I'm afraid I can't do that.
What?
I think it's finally time for you to become a pumpkin.
Oh God, no, don't come any closer. No!
Mom, are you eating a yogurt while you're driving? You need both hands on the wheel.
I need to get the most important meal of the day.
Mom, since when do you have a TikTok? How are you making a TikTok while you're driving? You're driving with your knees.
Renegade, we going viral.
Wait, are you getting a tattoo? When did he get in the car?
Hey.
When did he get in here?
This is
There's
Doug.
no outlet.
He's a professional, so it's okay. Doug, we should go out.
Are you on a date in the car? When did a table get in the back seat?
We've always had this.
We're on the road.
So, you got any kids?
I'm right here.
No.
I can't believe this.
It's not just your life on the line when you're driving with your kids. It's theirs and Doug's. Put the distractions away and keep both eyes on the road.
And we are back here at 90.3 WMSC, Upper Montclair, New Jersey. I am your host, Amanda Marino, and I am with Ryan Trick and Jacob Getz. And this is the Morning Buzz, if you're just tuning in. And we're talking about a lot of stuff for Election Day. Election Day is tomorrow.
What? There's an election
Right.
tomorrow?
This is like the segue back in the beginning of quarantine where you started saying, like, hey, Facebook,
Hey,
we're live.
Facebook.
And like, it's
Fancy seeing you here. Do you come here often?
It's getting a little old
to Facebook?
with your segue.
Listen, it's never. I forgot how to words good. It's never gonna get too old.
So anyway, to continue on with our Election Day coverage, Ryan threw this story into our script today.
Yeah.
You want to talk about it a little bit, Ryan?
Yeah. So, a lot of people, and I threw this in here. I wanted to talk about it briefly because a lot of people might be like me and they might not be super politically inclined, but they do understand that, politics are important. And if you don't understand that politics are important, hey, they're important. They literally decide your
especially no matter
country's
what,
fate.
this election is very important.
Yeah, and we hear this all the time, like, this election's the most important one ever, and we hear that literally every election. Trust me, I'm aware of this. But that still doesn't mean that, this election is no less important. So one thing that I really wanted to focus on with this is AP is actually kind of pitching out there a couple questions that people have going into the 2020 presidential election. I figured I'd take some of these and help inform people who are like me, things that you might want to consider when voting that aren't, both like just with the election in general, whether it be with policy, whatever. I'm no expert. If you want some awesome experts, we have some really great people doing some really cool in-depth news coverage on Election Day here at WMSC. Feel free to stay tuned to our socials too at WMSC on Twitter and stuff for more updates on that, as well as here at the Morning Buzz, we'll be having little recaps throughout the rest of the week. But so some questions that people might have going in. And this is kind of one that I want to pitch to all our listeners, what do you want from a president? This is something that I ask myself a lot, especially leading up to this election. We've talked about it on the Buzz definitely before on several occasions. My personal opinion, and before we get into this,
Of course.
all opinions reflected by the hosts are just that. They reflect the opinions of the hosts and do not reflect that of the station.
Correct.
So that said, when I ask myself this question, I kind of want someone who I'm proud to have representing our country, as someone who looks at the news for, a job. Like, I've seen international news, like the BBC reporting on America, and, I kind of question, like, do I really like how we're being painted, to the rest of the world right now? So that's a personal opinion. You might be more focused on policy. So what do you want from a president? You might really want certain kinds of change, and certain presidents or candidates will give you that kind of change.
Ryan, it's actually funny. You actually mentioned to me, was it like a week ago or two, that you told me about this link too that told you about, like,
yes. Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. So that is, oh gosh, what's it called?
I Will Sign. Is that
I Side With?
I Side With. Yeah. It was a website that basically pairs you with a presidential candidate based off what your policy, but based on what you care about specifically in a president, with the certain policies, whether it has to be what was it? Race. There was climate change, things like that. How you feel.
It has a bunch of questions and a bunch of multiple choice answers. If you do take it, I do highly recommend. Like if you want to take it when you're checking the boxes rather than just checking yes or no, click on the more options. Don't be afraid to look at the more options. When I did it, it took me a long time because they actually give you more info if you want it on the certain questions, so you can go into like what the policies were. It was actually, even for someone, again, who's not super into politics, it was super informative, and I was all for it. I thought it was pretty awesome. So that's awesome. Yeah. So that's isidewith.com. They've got some really cool stuff to help you kind of navigate your election. So another question that a lot of people are asking going into the election is, will voting be peaceful? This is something.
This is a loaded question. I've been saying this for a little bit. I've been saying, and Jake, let me know if you agree with me, because I have a feeling we agree a lot on a lot of things. So I feel like you might. Yeah. I have a strange feeling that no matter which way this election goes, whether it's another 4 years of Trump or whether it's Biden that wins, I have a feeling that nothing will be peaceful after the win of whoever wins, because there will be people on both sides that are going to be angry. And I want to hear your thoughts a little bit on that, Jake.
Oh, I definitely agree. I definitely think that, like, I don't know, it's such a heavy thing to say, I feel like, but I definitely think there's going to be violence this week. I think no matter what, because I think I think it's been, I don't know, the sources are kind of questionable on this, but I think it's been like reported that the president plans to announce victory.
Yeah, like, we're gonna actually get that with the next part of when will the race be called too. But I've been hearing that too, Jake. And that's kind of scary too. And obviously it's kind of lends into this next question of when will the race be called. So that's an important thing to note too. A lot of people have sent in mail-in ballots or sent in early voting. I know I personally sent in my ballot. My ballot, actually, I got a really cool thing from my county, actually. They sent me a little letter in the mail. It said, look, your thing got counted. That's and it actually got me proof that it went through and it was counted. So that was really nice to see. But so even though mine will be counted in time for election day, if someone sent in a ballot yesterday or they're voting tomorrow, it's not going to be, they still have to count that and such. So the whole thing is that we've been hearing a lot in the news and stuff that more Republicans are going to be voting in person tomorrow. Yeah. So with that being voted, it's going to look more like in the vein of Trump is going to win tomorrow.
Yeah.
And that's what people are worried, because he's going to try to claim an early victory, even if mail-in voting can still come in for another week or two.
Yeah.
Which is
Yeah,
really scary.
just
We're not
so
going to have an actual answer tomorrow, which a lot of people think we
100%
will.
not.
Yeah.
We might have a little more of an idea if some people start to lead in battleground states, which
Yeah.
will, because I know a lot of people are saying like, oh, this person's leading here, because a lot of places like Pennsylvania tomorrow, a lot more of voting in person is happening, and so we'll see that compared to a state like New Jersey, where there's not really any voting in person, but New Jersey's not even a battleground, so it doesn't even matter.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's, and that's something that I think a lot of people, even I'll admit, last election, when I first started like really thinking about politics and kind of like looking into it, that's something that I didn't realize is, you don't get the results like
No.
on election day.
The reason why in the past, though, it's been more you've gotten an answer that night, though, is because there's more voting in person happening.
Yeah.
And those numbers are calculated a lot faster than if you're sending in mail, because people could send out the mail yesterday and they might not get it till Wednesday or Thursday. It's just some people have a better indication.
Yeah. So, for when will the race be called, which is a question a lot of people are asking, we actually don't have an answer for that.
No.
It's very difficult to tell, but if you do want to stay tuned with the Morning Buzz and us here at WMSC, you will be able to, we will help you kind of keep you updated.
For sure.
I know Wednesday morning we are having like a little kind of recap. Louis Biondolillo, our news director and news contributor for WMSC, is going
Shout out to Louis.
Yeah, shout out to Louis.
All the shout outs to Louis. Very nice boy.
Doesn't get as enough appreciation at times, and he is amazing, and he's done a lot of work for the station, especially leading up to election day.
Oh yeah,
he has a lot of great coverage tomorrow.
Yeah, just to show like kind of spotlight how much Louis has been working. Tomorrow he's basically going to be doing election stuff all day up until I want to say 2 or 3 in the morning.
Wow.
And then he's coming back on the Buzz at like 7:30 a.m.
the next day. So
the next day to talk about it. So, yeah, exactly. There goes my hero, Louis Biondolillo.
I didn't even catch that at first. You did a Foo Fighters reference.
Oh no! Oh no! Quickly get her off the topic.
Anyway, of course, we don't know when it will be called. Like we said, though, with the battlegrounds, like I know a lot of people were also talking that Florida is a state we might actually know tomorrow because there's more in-person voting. Same thing with Pennsylvania, but there's some other states like Wisconsin and a lot of other places that we probably actually won't know yet because there's going to be a lot of mail-in ballots and things like that. We might have a more of an estimate, but like we're not going to have real numbers tomorrow. And that's I keep hearing people are like, we're going to have an answer Tuesday, and I'm like, we're not.
No,
we're not.
We're definitely not
having an answer.
Not a right one. Like,
and
I don't know.
And also as a little PSA, yeah, exactly, not a right one. I feel like if whoever it may be announces an early victory, do not listen to them.
Yeah,
please.
Don't listen to either side. If any side declares an early victory, that's not the case.
If Mickey Mouse comes out and says, "I got more than 2% of the vote this year," don't listen to Mickey.
Harambe 2020.
Hashtag Harambe 2020.
Anyway, but let's move on to this next story.
Well, wait, Amanda.
What?
I have a hypothetical question for you because this is a concern for me as a voter.
Okay.
Say I mail in my ballot.
Okay.
And I'm very excited.
Yes.
And I'm walking back to my car.
Oh, no.
And I get struck by lightning and explode into confetti and tragically pass away. Does my vote still count?
Well, that was a segue. So it's something that I've actually been thinking about is, with all this early voting, I mean, there's always mail-in voting, but this year it's been obviously more prominent because of COVID-19 and everything. So people have been sending in their ballots as early as like September in some places.
Yeah.
So there's that concern. Obviously, there's like a month in between that if you voted in September. Anything's possible. Anything could happen, especially if you're in the elderly population or maybe you get struck with the virus or whatever the case may be. There's the idea that you could pass away between election day and when you voted, or when you voted to election day. And I saw this come up in my feed yesterday, and I was like, oh, this is pretty interesting, actually. So CNN did a whole article about, what happens if you pass away? What happens to your vote? So a 20-year-old woman actually cast her vote before dying of cancer. And she was really excited about the election. And her state actually threw it away because she actually voted early before she passed. But considered, since it's technically on that line of has passed on, like that's technically illegal in some states.
Yeah, I think the weird thing is like maybe she's technically no longer like a citizen, or I don't know the reasoning behind it.
There's this thing a lot of past years that people have like kind of hacked the election because they've put in dead people's votes for people that have passed on. But my question is, if she already voted and she was still alive for that's where I don't understand, because you already did it and you were still alive when you were.
Yeah.
It's not like she passed away and then 3 days later her family was like, oh, here. Like, who's going through that and shifting through that? But basically, the story is, so she's a 20-year-old who had been fighting bone cancer for a decade. She was fascinated with politics, and after spending the last midterm election in the hospital following a bone marrow transplant, she was determined to vote this year. But she submitted her vote, and a few days after, her condition kind of took a turn for the worse, and she ended up going back to the hospital, and she died in late September. Now her ballot will actually be thrown out now because she lives in Wisconsin, and Wisconsin is one of a dozen states who actually will cancel your ballot if you passed away. Wow. Which is interesting. And obviously, the way this article explains it is kind of more that she's kind of on the left-leaning side. But so you're like, oh, maybe it's because of that. But they actually then go into another story of a man, Marvin, who is an 84-year-old retiree, and he was really excited to cast his ballot for Trump. And they threw his ballot out too because he happened to pass away as well.
Yeah, from COVID.
Specifically. Yeah, COVID specifically. So that just proves it doesn't matter what side you were falling on. Certain states do throw out your ballot, which is kind of scary.
It's kind of horrible. Yeah.
It's weird, so I understand.
I understand if you were like dead for 4 years and all of a sudden there's a ballot there for you. Okay, that I get it.
Yeah.
But
here's my weird thing, right? So I understand the reasoning for this because of that. So I guess the idea comes from, it's like on the day the votes are counted officially, right? Which would be election day or the day after, like starting election day is, I guess, when they consider them officially tallying votes.
Mm-hmm. But I'm going to cut you off before you even go there, because there's some states like New Jersey that already started counting theirs.
Yeah, but my point being, okay, so in New Jersey, if I vote and then I, get struck by lightning or something, is my vote still counted? That's my question. So I understand their reasoning behind okay, they're kind of starting to count, but this time is when the counting is officially beginning. So say election day at, I don't know, I'm making this up, but say Tuesday at midnight, when you first when Tuesday first starts. Maybe that's the line where it's okay, all living people who have voted, their vote counts.
The other thing that you run into the problem of is that every state is different. Like I said, 12 states in the country say your vote won't count, but other states say, oh, it still counts.
It's weird.
It's because it's a line, and it's it almost should be a whole countrywide thing, because it doesn't make logical sense that if I lived here, my vote would be counted, and if I lived there, it wouldn't be. You know what I mean? I personally think, and again, my opinion, not the station's, I personally think it should be counted if you voted already. If it was sent in, because why are you going back through the ballot? It should just be counted and it's over.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? If I understand where you're coming from, that if the person is not alive but it's not again, the person has been dead for a year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
If
Yeah,
they
it's-
already put their ballot in, it should be done. Done
Mhm.
deal.
I guess. Yeah.
I don't know, Jake.
Yeah, like I don't know. It's like if it's like they've been dead for a while, then it's like okay, that's not somebody. That's a illegitimate vote because somebody else must have filled it out because they
Yeah.
couldn't have because they were dead. But if you had conscious American citizen filling out a vote and was able to submit it, I think it should be counted. And what happens after, like, to them is kind of irrelevant to me. I don't see why it should matter.
I guess the line, if I'm gonna
Um,
play like devil's advocate for a minute, is how would you know?
Yeah.
Do you
Well,
know what
I
I mean?
guess-
Like, because like the person could have been dead for about a month. They still got a ballot because their like death wasn't
Mhm.
filed with them yet, and like with the state or whatever. And then they got a ballot, and someone was like, "Well, you know what? They would have wanted this person," and then write it in. I guess that could have happened too.
Well,
And I guess I get that line,
And
but I don't really.
That's what I think it is. Is I think
yeah.
it's almost impossible. So these are specific cases that we're reading.
Yeah.
But in a general sense, like you said, there's this huge gray area where it would be next to impossible to narrow down an exact timeline for everybody in these kinds of situations.
Exactly.
And to be safe, they just cancel it. You know,
Okay.
I think that's the reasoning.
Yeah.
Huh.
So I don't know. It might
I
just
wonder
be a
if-
safety thing.
Are votes dated?
Yeah, but again, you can always.
I suppose that's true, but I don't know.
So I could have voted, on the 31st and wrote on my ballot I voted the 29th.
Yeah, I guess
whatever
that's true.
it does, or depend on when
Um,
you fill out your ballot compared to when you actually send it out. So like I did fill out my ballot on a certain day, but I wasn't able to send it out until like 3 days later.
Yeah.
So anyways, it's a whole thing.
It's an interesting topic. A different, interesting, like
Yeah,
very
definitely an
to
interesting
dive into
Yeah.
for sure.
thought experiment.
But as we are approaching the end of the hour, and obviously we talked a lot heavy with politics and election talk
Mhm.
today,
I got a quick weird
but
one.
we have a. No, can I like
Yeah,
intro
go.
you?
Do it.
Ryan found a fun little like good news story that he wants to share for the episode today because. I mean, like I said, we were very heavy with politics and the heavier news today. So we always need to look on the bright side of things, right, Ryan?
It's just weird. I don't know if it's bright or not. It's just weird,
Tell
and
me
I
about
really
it.
wanted to talk about it. So, all right. So bugs, right? So what if bugs, but like clothing?
Okay, but real quick, you said bugs like you actually liked bugs, but
No,
you were
I
the
despise
He
bugs.
literally is so scared
I would
of
be
bugs.
perfectly fine if a news story came out saying all bugs on the face of the planet just died instantly. I'd
All
be totally
bugs.
fine with it. It would crash so many ecosystems, and I'm fine with it.
Including
So
butterflies.
Yeah. And
What's wrong with a
and-
butterfly?
No,
Wow.
forget them. Forget them.
What about
I'm gonna
ladybug?
angry tweet you
No.
for that.
Angry tweet him.
Go ahead.
Angry tweet him.
Angry tweet me at Ryan the Trick. I hate
I'm gonna
bugs.
say Ryan Trick hates butterflies.
Yep.
Confirmed.
So
I'll link this.
they're
Confirmed
beautiful.
source from the recorded
Butterflies are beautiful, but they are still insects nonetheless. Thus, they do not escape my burning hatred. So anyways, this is talk about scientists creating all kinds of like crazy new stuff. And especially in the time of COVID, we're thinking about a lot of new tech is coming out for medical technology and things to be safer and cleaner and less germy, I guess. Basically, scientists have been trying to create surfaces that are so repellent to moisture that basically germs have like literally nothing to cling to on the clothing. The surfaces are called hydrophobic surfaces. You've probably heard of them. And researchers are basically looking to now mimic naturally occurring materials produced by animals that repel water extremely effectively, water and bacteria. So cicadas, right? We know them in New Jersey.
Yeah,
And
we do.
I remember in high school, literally, we had this huge cicada wave once, and I was sweeping them off my driveway. Yeah, real creepy. But apparently, shout out to, I guess, cicadas. Apparently, cicada wings are naturally water repellent, like extremely so.
Okay.
So, some professors at I want to say University of Illinois, they have been leading a study to try and fabricate or try and create fabrics and surfaces with the same surface structure cheaply and efficiently as cicada wings. So as much as I hate bugs, I will admit
It's kind of cool.
it is kind of cool
So that
that
means you can't
water
kill
repellent
off
and
all the bugs then.
it's water
Yeah.
repellent and germ. It's so water repellent, it's germ repellent. Like that's just
Wow.
as much as I hate bugs, I will admit
yeah.
that's pretty cool. I will declare that right here, live on air at 90.3 WMSC Upper
Oh,
Montclair,
you
New
beat
Jersey.
me to it, Ryan.
I'm sorry.
Yes,
Amanda.
we have reached the top of the hour here at the Morning Buzz 90.3 WMSC Upper Montclair, New Jersey. I had to say it again just because I
Good.
needed to beat Ryan at that.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you for tuning in. If you want to see some of our visuals from today, you can check us out on Facebook Live or Facebook. It's not live anymore. It will be on Facebook, but it will also be streaming on YouTube later today. And tomorrow will be Philippe and Tara hosting the Morning Buzz from 8 to 9. And the Morning Buzz will continue also throughout the rest of the week, 8 to 9. And if you, once again, are interested in Election Day coverage that's not on your TV, but is
on the radio.
On the radio.
For your just streaming
Airwaves.
live into your eardrums.
you could check that out tomorrow
Yeah.
at 90.3 WMSC, Upper Montclair, New Jersey. Anyway, I have been Amanda Marino.
Last I checked, I've been Ryan Trick.
And I think I'm still Jake Getz.
And thanks for listening.
We'll see you guys next week.